A team that has shown up on both of our upon further review boards. I figure we'll go ahead and start with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 41-24 winners against Syracuse. But you mentioned that there were some things from this game you wanted to get to. I did as well, and it was, as you mentioned in the group chat, all through the lens of seeing Notre Dame hosting Clemson this weekend, because I think that the Fighting Irish, the success that they have had moving the ball on the ground, playing solid defense, they have found an identity, even with the lack of outside skill players. They have found an identity that I think is strong. And while the profile shows that your losses to Stanford and Marshall are incredibly embarrassing, it's also a team that has beaten North Carolina and now Syracuse. I think that this is a team that's turned the corner. I think the Fighting Irish have a decent chance to – I haven't even looked at the spread yet, but I think the Fighting Irish have a decent chance to be much more of a challenge and a competitor with Clemson in town this coming Saturday than what we might have thought in the immediate wake of the Marshall or Stanford losses.
So the line opened 4. I'm all over that with Clemson.
As you pivot to saying something nice about Notre Dame.
Yes, right. So Notre Dame got a good win for where Notre Dame is right now as a program. Like Clemson was kind of ripe to be got here if Notre Dame could push them around on the ground. As we talked about this in summer school when we had Stephen Bailey on, we talked about this, I think, when we did the Locks pod. It was like, will Syracuse's defense hold up? They're very thin. Like they're very small up front. They have to use confusion. They can't afford injuries there because they don't have depth. And they have started to have some guys go down. Schrader also tore his ACL in this game. Or not Schrader, excuse me. Garrett Williams tore his ACL in this game, one of the best corners in the ACC. So wish him a speedy recovery. Hope he can get ready for the draft. Schrader also got hurt for Syracuse. But Notre Dame was able to push Syracuse around in a way that I do not think it can do to Clemson. Quarterback-wise, and I've talked to coaches who have played Notre Dame, and they're like, man, they're so ordinary on the outside. They don't scare you. The quarterback is really pretty bad. And like Mayer gets a lot of hype and he's a good player, but he's not as twitchy as some of these guys who go on to play in the league like that. Now, maybe they're wrong about some of that, but Clemson, when they have looked sketchy this year, generally has been because teams have been able to exploit the corners, especially when they were hurt. Mm-hmm. And Drew Pine was 9 of 19 for 116 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Once they got up, they're like, we're not going to risk this.
I mean, Notre Dame functionally just isn't built to throw the ball. They don't want to. They would love to get 4 or 5 yards on their first down run, set things up, and if they get stuck in 3rd and 5, then find a quick little out route and a matchup problem, get the ball to Mayer. I mean, it is an identity that is not built to win a championship, but it is an identity of a team that I think can win a game. If Clemson does not bring, and look, Brian Brzee, Tyler Davis, the defensive tackles on this team are phenomenal. But I kind of think Notre Dame's offensive line is cooking too. And so I think it will be a challenge for that defense on the interior to make sure that they don't get pushed around physically.
See, my problem with that is, like, if you look at Notre Dame at a success rate level on the ground, they're actually pretty decent. It's just there is absolutely no explosive play factor on the ground. Like they can get you 4 yards. It might even get you 5. Start asking for 6 or 7, you're asking a little bit too much from them. So I agree. I don't think the offensive line, I think the offensive line is improving, and I think they're opening holes. It's just they don't have somebody that's capable of getting into the open field and beating a linebacker or beating a safety in a one-on-one spot and getting a big play out of it. And I think that is a severe hindrance for them, especially this week against Clemson, because even if you do get by that defensive line, you're going to need more explosive plays to beat Clemson, just because it's going to be hard to drive down the field in 12, 13 plays against that defense.
Anything else on Notre Dame?
Yeah, I'm really curious because of the team they're facing. Like, what is Clemson going to want to do? Like, after DJ's shakiest game yet this year, getting benched, they're going to want to run Shipley. And this is also a Notre Dame team which had the most success against Ohio State than anybody else that's done against Ohio State. I mean, Penn State was doing a great job for 3 quarters. But I think if I would lean anything, it'd probably be under. I think this game, because I think Clemson's going to want to say, you know what? We realize what we are. We're a Will Shipley led team, not a DJU led team.
I want to push back on the narrative that Notre Dame played Ohio State better than anybody. If you go back and watch the game, and we talked about it at the time, Notre Dame's game plan for that entire game was let's not get blown out. They took like every single play. They were running that play clock down to 2 or 1 before they snapped the ball. They were just trying to keep the Ohio State offense off the field as much as possible to keep that close. Now, granted, as far as the final score works, yeah, they played Ohio State better than anybody else. But I think Penn State played Ohio State better than anybody in the country this weekend because they were moving the ball on them better than anybody.
That game again on
Tom Pernelli says Notre Dame played to cover, not to win, and he's right.
Mm-hmm.
No, they played not to get embarrassed.
Sure, yeah, it was more of a reputation type thing than. Although I actually don't know that the strategy which would allow you to win diverges all that much from the strategy that allows you to keep it close. Like there's no strategy.
Wouldn't that be the same against Notre Dame or against Clemson too? Not to get not embarrassed, but with the quarterback situation is rough.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
Brandon Joseph, former All-American from Northwestern, flashed in that Syracuse game too. That ball hawking safety will be hoping DJU is a little bit loose with it again. Notre Dame has playmakers on the defensive side of the ball that can make you pay, something that will be very important for DJ to keep it tight and avoid the same kind of turnovers that we saw against Syracuse.